Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Bait Studio. Today we're discussing media production and its impact. There was a moment when I was told something that changed my life forever. Keep quiet, or you won't live to tell your story. Those words echoed in my mind. Those words were not a joke. They were not advice. They were a warning. And for a long time, I obeyed. I stayed silent. I pretended everything was normal. But inside me, there was a story burning, a truth. And what I'm about to tell you is the reason many people never speak after leaving Islam. A truth that refused to stay hidden. Today, I'm finally speaking. For too long, this secret has haunted me. But now, the world will know the truth. Before I continue, if this is your first time here, please subscribe, like this video, and share it with someone who needs to hear the truth. Now, let the stories unfold, and share it with someone who needs to hear the truth, and leave a comment. Because stories like this are not easy to tell, and they are not easy to hear. I was not always like this. I was not someone who questioned things. I followed everything exactly as I was taught. I believed deeply. I obeyed strictly. I never imagined that one day I would become the person everyone warned about. But life has a way of changing you. Not suddenly, not loudly, but slowly, quietly, from the inside. It started with a feeling I could not explain. Not doubt, not rebellion, just emptiness. I was doing everything right, praying, following, obeying, but inside, there was no peace, and I didn't understand why. So I tried harder. I prayed more. I disciplined myself more. I forced myself to believe that the feeling would go away. But it didn't. It grew, day by day, until one day, I asked a question I was never supposed to ask. What if I'm missing something? That question changed everything. From that moment, I began searching, quietly, carefully, because I knew this was dangerous. Not physically at first, but socially, emotionally, spiritually. I began hearing things I had never heard before. About Jesus, about grace, about love that didn't feel forced. And something inside me reacted. Not with fear, but with peace. And that scared me, because I knew if I followed this path, I would lose everything. At first, I hid it. No one knew. I smiled. I acted normal. I lived two lives. One outside, one inside. But secrets don't stay hidden forever. One day, everything was exposed. And that was the day my silence began. After that, I was no longer free. Not physically, but mentally, emotionally. Every word I said was watched. Every movement noticed. And then came the warning. Do not speak about this. Do not tell anyone. Do not bring shame. At first, it sounded like protection. But later I realized it was control, because silence is powerful. Silence hides truth. Silence protects systems. Silence keeps people afraid. And I was part of that silence. There were nights I wanted to speak, to tell someone everything, to release the pain inside me. But fear of rejection, fear of loss, fear of what could happen. So I stayed quiet, day after day, pretending. Smiling, hiding, while inside, I was breaking. Until one day I realized something. If I keep silent, I will lose myself completely. Not my family. Not my friends. Myself. And that was a price I could not pay. If you are watching this right now, and you feel afraid, you are not alone. If you feel silenced, speaking the truth sounds simple. But for me, it felt like standing at the edge of something I could not see. Because the moment I decided to speak, everything around me became tighter, controlled, restricted. It was no longer just silence. It became pressure, real pressure, the kind that doesn't shout but slowly suffocates you. There were days I felt like I was being watched, even when I was alone. Not always physically, but mentally. Every word I thought about saying, I would stop myself. Every message I wanted to send, I would delete it. Every truth I wanted to speak, I would bury it again. Because the fear had grown. Not just fear of people, but fear of consequences. I remember one particular day, I almost spoke. I was so close. There was someone in front of me. Someone I trusted just a little. And I felt it. That moment, that opening, where I could finally say everything. My heart was racing. My voice was ready. But then, that voice in my head came back. Don't. Not here. Not now. And I stopped. Again. That's when I realized something painful. Silence had become a prison. And I was both the prisoner and the guard. The hardest part wasn't what people said to me. It was what I started saying to myself. Stay quiet, stay safe, don't lose everything. Over time, and those words became louder than my truth. And slowly, I started losing my voice. I would look at myself and not recognize who I was anymore. I was living, but not truly alive. I was speaking, I was there, but not really present. And the worst part? No one could see it. Because on the outside, everything looked normal. I still smiled. I still showed up. I still played my role. But inside, I was fading, piece by piece. There were nights when I sat in complete darkness. Not because the lights were off, but because my thoughts had become too heavy, too loud, too confusing. I would ask myself, like, was it worth it? Was this decision really worth losing everything? Would it be easier to go back? And that question, that one question, became the most dangerous one. Because going back would have been easy. Just pretend, just deny, just erase everything, and life would return to normal. But deep inside, I knew something. Even if I went back, I would never be the same again. Because once you see truth, you cannot unsee it. Once you feel something real, you cannot pretend it didn't happen. That's when the struggle changed. It was no longer between me and people. It became a battle inside me. Truth versus fear. Freedom versus safety. Identity versus acceptance. And that battle was exhausting. There was a moment I reached my lowest point. Not physically, but emotionally, spiritually. Completely drained. I remember sitting down, staring at nothing, feeling nothing, thinking nothing. I'm tired. I don't have the strength. It wasn't a prayer. It wasn't a declaration. It was just honesty. Pure honesty. For the first time, I wasn't trying to be strong. I wasn't trying to pretend. I just admitted I was broken. And something unexpected happened. Not immediately, not dramatically, but gently, quietly, something shifted. The weight didn't disappear, but it changed. It became lighter, like I was no longer carrying it alone. And in that moment, I realized something powerful. Silence may control your voice, and it cannot control your heart. Fear may limit your actions, but it cannot erase truth. And pressure may surround you, but it cannot define you. That realization changed everything. I was still in the same place, still surrounded by the same people, still facing the same fear. But inside, something had awakened. Courage. Not loud courage, not bold courage. The kind that whispers, just take one step. And that's what I did. One step. Not a big one, not a visible one, but a real one. I stopped lying to myself. I stopped pretending inside, even if I couldn't speak out loud yet. I refused to deny the truth within me. And that was the beginning of my freedom. But what I didn't know was this freedom, that small step prayer, was about to lead to something much bigger, something more dangerous, something more painful, but also something more powerful. Because the moment you stop being silent inside, eventually your voice will come out. And when it does, everything changes. You are not alone. If you are searching for truth, you are not alone. Thank you for listening to my story. If this touched you, please like, comment, and share this video. And don't forget to subscribe to Bait Studio for more real, powerful testimonies. Because some stories must be told.